Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 101st episode of the totally awesome podcast, the TAP, so bad, it'll make you tap out. My name is JoshAgeddon, your host as always, and honestly, I thought about doing this literally at 3 a.m. last night. So that'll let you know what I was up to last night after we were done with the Royal Rumble review. Hope you guys enjoyed the Royal Rumble review. But yeah, 2 podcasts today. None of you were expecting this. I wasn't expecting this literally 24 hours ago, but I have learned some information that has very much interested me, and I do want to talk about some certain things, considering one particular man in particular. That I used the word particular so many times. As you all know, I am a huge fan of Marilyn Manson. He is my favorite artist. He has some of my favorite music. Mechanical Animals is the best album I've ever listened to ever. And I have heard some scuttlebutt around the rumor mill at the water cooler. And that's all the analogies I can think of. So, real quick before I begin, I'm going to give a teeny tiny disclaimer that I don't think anything is I'm going to cover all my bases. Nothing is confirmed. The man himself hasn't come out and publicly stated anything. So take everything you're about to hear me talk about with a grain of salt. Allegedly, we are on the cusp of a new album by Mr. Marilyn Manson. So there's some evidence that I came across the other night, and if you've seen recent video and pictures of him, honestly, it feels like something's coming up. Feels like the groundwork has been laid, and he's just waiting for the right opportunity to release this new album that he apparently has completed. So this is what I want to talk about. The return of Marilyn Manson, and to go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, Amber Turd Jr., known as Evan Rachel Wood. For those of you that don't know, not months after We Are Chaos, his most recent album came out. And by the way, We Are Chaos is heavily underrated. It's my 3rd favorite Marilyn Manson album. I think it's amazing. But after We Are Chaos came out, and, we were balls deep into COVID, it was early 2021, and Evan Rachel Wood basically named Marilyn Manson as a rapist and a abuser, a sexual deviant, yada, yada, yada. And then after that, a whole bunch of other people came out with similar allegations, and Marilyn Manson was practically canceled. Not practically, he was canceled. He was dropped by his music label, dropped by his manager, and basically it's been radio silence aside from some social media posts here and there, but for the most part, Marilyn Manson has been off-grid, which, considering that he's my favorite artist, that kind of sucks, but real quick, I want to touch on the whole allegations thing. With every passing day, the more I do not believe Evan Rachel Wood. The more time passes by, the more this is looking similar to the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard fiasco from a couple of years ago. If anything, this feels like the Diet Coke version of that. Because, again, for those of you that don't know, it was confirmed that Evan Rachel Wood falsified or forged FBI documents to basically trick other people into corroborating her stories. And that one person, I can't remember her name, one of the people that came out and accused Marilyn Manson of all these horrible things, recanted her story and basically said that she was forced or pressured into corroborating this story, basically lying because Evan Rachel Wood and her friends, her allies, basically pressured her into doing that. And one of the real kickers for me, honestly, is right as this whole thing was gaining traction and while the investigation was still ongoing, Evan Rachel Wood released that stupid Phoenix Rising, or whatever it's called, documentary. Specifically, she'll claim to raise awareness Every time I hear every time I hear the phrase raise awareness nowadays, it makes me want to vomit because that means there's no more a hollow and empty phrase or platitude than raising awareness. Raising awareness does fucking nothing. But anyway, she claims it's raising awareness. And from my frame of reference, it is monetizing something that's going on as we speak. It is, I am convinced that this whole thing was her taking advantage of their shitty relationship from 2007 to 2009 and using it to get some money out of it and to maybe tack on a little bit of fame for herself. I do believe that she is I do believe personally that this whole thing was driven by her ego and just an attempt to, I don't even think it's specifically to destroy Marilyn Manson. I don't think she cares about Marilyn Manson. She cares about her. She wants to line her pockets and get her name more out there because honestly, no one really knows who she is, honestly. Like, people know who Amber Heard is. You stop a random yokel on the street, they're not going to have a clue who Evan Rachel Wood is. They'll know who Marilyn Manson is, odds are, but that's my opinion, and if you disagree with me, whatever, but I'm just saying, people that have actually gone through sexual assault or rape or anything like that, when they do come out, they normally don't tend to intimidate and pressure other people into corroborating their stories. They don't force other people to lie. And they also don't, forge and falsify FBI documents. That's very atypical of someone that's been through something like this. So, again, I don't have concrete proof that nothing happened, but again, I'm more leaning towards the she's full of shit camp. And since Marilyn Manson is my favorite all-time artist ever, that infuriates me just to no end. And not only that, but again, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and there was a huge wrestling story this past week about Vince McMahon, who's basically, it's common knowledge that he's a sex pest. And that woman Janelle, who did the thing with the Washington Post, basically talking about how Vince McMahon raped her repeatedly and passed her around to his colleagues and sex trafficked her and did all kinds of horrible things to her. I believe that, instantly, because it is so in character for Vince McMahon. And also, Janelle didn't do anything super shady. She didn't forge FBI documents, she didn't lie to people, she didn't make people lie on her behest. So, people like Evan Rachel Wood and Amber Heard make real, actual abuse survivors harder to believe. And not just women, because men can be sexually assaulted too. Both genders have fun. Now, it's more on the women's side. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. But it happens. But when you have it becomes the story of the boy who cried wolf. So many people are trying to weaponize Me Too to line their pockets and to make themselves feel good. Meanwhile, actual survivors and actual victims, it's harder to believe them now because you don't know what their motives are. And I hate that they are in that situation. But anyway, so yeah, that whole shitstorm basically nearly ruined Marilyn Manson's career. And it was kind of similar to back in 2000 when the entire mainstream media was basically blaming him for Columbine. It's not the exact same. In fact, I would say this whole smear campaign against him in 2021 was way more effective and way more damaging. So, and again, we've heard not all that much from him, aside from some Instagram and X posts here and there, basically refuting these claims and whatnot. But, so, the meat of the matter, what really got me thinking was last night, after we did, and by the way, the Royal Rumble review that we did yesterday, that was the 100th episode of the TAP. So I was wrong, and I am dumb. This is 101. So, it honestly wouldn't be the Totally Awesome Podcast if I didn't forget what number we were on. So, I say this is the worst podcast ever for a reason, and that is because I am wholly incompetent. But anyway, kind of like Evan Rachel Wood, but that's another discussion for another day, which might be today. So, again, last night, basically what got this whole thing rolling for me last night is I saw something that made my jaw drop. And I'm not going to try to, if you're about to accuse me of what I'm about to talk about, of body shaming or fat shaming, shut the fuck up. Stop being such a sensitive piece of garbage, please, for 5 seconds. It is no secret that the past decade or so, regardless of the quality of his music, Marilyn Manson has looked so unhealthy. He has looked bloated and just unwell. And I talked to Skylar about this yesterday, and he was like, well, he never looks well. And I'm like, well, for him, this is bad. Yes, he's looked creepy for decades now, but there's a difference between looking creepy and looking physically ill. Ever since, I would say, the high end of low era, he's just gotten more and more bloated and just sick looking. Not gangly, the way he looked in his earlier eras, but basically for the past decade or so, he's looked like a Captain Dad bod. There's been a meme that went around, I don't remember when it started, but it was basically Marilyn Manson today looks like Nicolas Cage dressed up as Marilyn Manson, and unfortunately that is true. And that, I believe, is mainly because of the immense alcohol consumption that Marilyn Manson has been basically done to himself for God knows how long. So yeah, Marilyn Manson did not look great. He looked very, very, very unhealthy, and I've been concerned. And if you've seen some of his more recent live performances, I remember one where he claims he had the flu. I don't buy that for a second. Where mid-performance, he just got on all fours and started vomiting and had to be carried off stage. Yeah, this dude was not okay. And it's well documented that he went through a lot of severe depression and drug abuse and alcohol abuse, especially after his divorce in 2007, not 2007, I think it was 2005, 2006. That basically is what gave birth to Eat Me, Drink Me, the Marilyn Manson album that only I like, apparently. And ever since that, and then his god-awful toxic relationship with Evan Rachel Wood, that made things worse, and that really did a number on his mental and physical health. And it was obvious. Okay, real quick, don't you love it when you're 10 minutes into a podcast and your mom calls you? Because your car's at the shop and she's like, who's taking you to pick up your car? Well, Mom, I'm busy. I'll get back to you in a second. Marilyn Manson's more important than my car. Okay. So anyway, it's well documented that Marilyn Manson went through a lot of turbulent times, especially around the years 2007, 2008, 2009. Those were really rough on him, and then he lost his parents, and the dude's 55, so it only makes sense that, your body starts breaking down at a point, but not everyone who gets to his age looks as bloated as he did, and it wasn't to the point where I was like, oh my god, he's about to die, but it was still kind of concerning. He was a far cry from the Marilyn Manson of old. But, honestly, the first bit of news that I heard was actually about a week ago or so, when his wife told someone on somewhere, I saw this on Facebook, so, but I do trust the source, but basically, Marilyn Manson has recently celebrated being sober for 2 years, which, considering the man in question, that is astonishing. As much as I love the guy, he does a lot of drugs and drinks a lot of alcohol. Me, I'm a teetotaler, which for those of you that don't know what that means, I've never had alcohol before. I don't drink alcohol, and I never will, and I don't do drugs. I don't vape. I don't smoke. I don't smoke weed or anything like that. So it's difficult seeing your favorite artist do this to himself, even though it was. A lot of people argue, like I saw the Amazing Atheist argue that I'm concerned about his upcoming output because artists are only good when they're on drugs. And basically was disappointed to hear that. Okay, real quick, if you're disappointed to hear that someone's sober, you need to reevaluate your life choices. Although I'm not entirely surprised hearing that come from the Amazing Atheist. He's not exactly the bastion of morality or common sense, but that's another topic. Just, that really annoyed me. And some of his fans were like, one of his fans even said, yeah, when artists go sober, they suck. Fuck you. I would rather have someone save their life than come out with banger music just to die a year later. That's my own personal thing. If Marilyn Manson's new album comes out and it sucks, I'm just going to be happy that he's alive and not bloated and not dying. Because he was starting to look pretty rough. So I will always put more value over the human being and their, being okay over. But how does this impact their music? The music comes secondary to the person. And the fact that even needed to be said is depressing. And just the state of the awful society that we live in today. But anyway. So, it's been stated that he's been sober for 2 years. And someone who is as notorious a drug user as Marilyn Manson has been. And an alcohol abuser. That is shocking to hear. 2 years? And I was like, man. That's impressive. That is impressive. And then, that led me to, I was just curious, and I'm on a couple of Marilyn Manson Facebook pages, but there have been rumblings here and there about a new album where he's collaborating with Tyler Bates again, and real quick, that was a part of the scuttlebutt that he's collaborating with Tyler Bate again. I'm cautiously optimistic for that because the batting average, for me at least, is 50-50. I really like The Pale Emperor. I think that, for the most part, is a solid album. On the other hand, Heaven Upside Down, in my opinion, sucks. I do not like Heaven Upside Down. Marilyn Manson tried pop, and it didn't work because pop is a shitty genre. That is my opinion, and if you disagree, that's fine. I hate pop, and Marilyn Manson just doing pop just feels wrong, but, so hopefully it's not Heaven Upside Down. Hopefully it's more Pale Emperor, which would be fine. But what really made my jaw drop was I saw a picture of him where basically on one side was a picture of him during the golden age of grotesque era in 2003. And on the right was a picture of him from this year, from 2024. Oh my God. This man stumbled across the fountain of youth. He's skinny. He honestly, he looks better in the 2024 picture than the 2003 picture. And that was 20 years ago. Holy shit. He looks so good. He looks great. He's probably had some work done, but I'm also thinking that this man has been hitting the gym or has been doing something. And yes, the makeup also did help. But even back when he was going to court over the spitting on a camera woman incident or snotting on them or whatever he did, when he was in court, the video that was recorded of him where he was in a black suit but didn't really have any makeup on because, he's in front of a judge and he wants to look, not completely creepy, but wants to look professional as he can look, I guess. He looked good. He looked slim. He looked okay. He looked good. But, like, this picture of Marilyn Manson that I'm actually using in the thumbnail, holy shit. Like, this man took 20 years off the clock. I took multiple double. There's a double take and then there's a quadruple take. I had a quadruple take when I saw this picture. And it just looks unreal. It looks unreal. He's even doing the eye thing, that one eye contact that he hasn't done in a long time. I think the last time he did that was Golden Age of Grotesque, because I don't remember him doing that very much anymore. But if that's symbolic of anything, then man, that gets my hopes up. And then after that, I was perusing the interwebs, like your finest boomer. That was a sentence. And I came across this guy, a man that I've never heard of this guy before. His name's Eddie Trunk, and apparently he's a renowned radio host or like podcaster or whatever. He does news about music. So he's apparently really well respected in that field. And I listened to a clip of his show where basically he said that for the first time in a while, he got a text out of the blue from Marilyn Manson inviting him to his birthday party. And he was unable to attend. But he was also invited to a listening party. That is what caught my interest. I was like, okay. Because at that point, the scuttlebutt that I saw on Facebook, I take a shot every time I use the phrase scuttlebutt. The rumors that were circulating on Facebook, I was taking with a grain of salt. I was like, okay, I hope this is real, but I'm not dumb, so I'm going to take this with a healthy grain of salt. Honestly, I'm still taking this whole thing with a grain of salt. But this is a much more confirmation. Because this guy who's apparently, again, I could be totally, this could be an absolute no one. I don't know anything. I know nothing. I'm just excited. I'm hyped, which is why I'm doing this video. But yeah, so this guy, Eddie Trunk, said that he was invited to a listening party to the completed new album by Marilyn Manson. And again, he was unable to attend, but he heard that the reception was very positive. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh shit, it's happening. This might be real. And what really sealed it was, he was like, well, Manson, I hope you're doing well. I hope everything's okay with you. And Marilyn Manson responded with, man, 2024 is going to be a good year. From the man himself. And I hope that translates to, yeah, I'm about to drop the hottest fucking album you've ever heard. Now, of course, there's no, like, official release date. Sad face. There's no telling when this could drop. I'm hoping sooner rather than later because I'm selfish. But, man, this is some bombshell shit. But one thing that the Amazing Atheist did say that I did agree with is if this is actually happening, this album has got to blow our hair back. This album has got to just be an all-out assault. This has to be something special, because if Marilyn Manson returns after his cancellation with a or ho-hum, or it was alright, or God forbid, a bad album, that might kill his return. And that does concern me. Although, of all of the... He has had 11 albums, and I only dislike one of them, so that's a pretty decent batting average. Like, the one that I like the least is Born Villain, but I really like that album. So again, 10 out of 11 ain't bad. And even Heaven Upside Down I don't think is that terrible. It's just not my genre. But I hope that this is otherworldly. So, my thing is, I want this to be the angriest sounding out. I want this to be a pissed off Marilyn Manson. Because we haven't really gotten that pissed off of a Marilyn Manson since Hollywood. Since the days of the Triptych. Again, it's been decades since then, but I want him to at least tap into the anger that he's well known for. We need some angry Marilyn Manson. And I want him to just completely shit all over not just Evan Rachel Wood, but cancel culture as a whole. I want him to turbo shit all over the flaming, smoldering wreck that is not only our country right now, but our society as a whole. You know, something he's really good at. He's done it before, and now he has so much ammunition now with some of the dumb shit that's happening now. I don't normally get political on this channel, but I am very worried about this upcoming election. It's the battle of the old men that we don't need to see again. Like, real quick, I'm a Republican. I'm a Christian. If it's Donald Trump versus Joe Biden again, I'm not voting. Because, like, this is the best we have to offer? These are the two forerunners. Sad. Embarrassing. Cringe. I'm good. No thanks. And I so badly want Marilyn Manson to just, once again, I want him to turbo shit all over everything. I want him to shit on this increased victimhood culture that we're now seeing, where basically it's a contest to see who can be the most oppressed. Because in people's warped minds nowadays, the more oppressed you are, the more valuable you are, and the more your opinion matters, basically. The more higher up you are on the social hierarchy. I hate that shit. My wish list, honestly, is for Marilyn Manson to turbo shit on our culture, as it is right now. On all aspects. On how stupid we're becoming. On how... I want him to turbo shit on TikTok. If Marilyn Manson came out with a TikTok diss track, basically slamming that entire platform and all the people that are infecting it, and that are destroying their own brains over it, I'd have the biggest fucking smile on my face. Because if there's one thing that needs to die, it's TikTok. Because Sean McCarty, a close friend of mine that I do a bunch of wrestling reviews with, he has now coined the term TikTok brain. Basically means you don't have one. But anyway, that's just me ranting and raving because I'm a grouchy old man at the old age of 26. I'm an angry 26-year-old. And one thing I do want to mention real quick. I just mentioned that I'm a Christian. There has been some rumors and speculation that Marilyn Manson has converted to Christianity and is releasing a Christian album. And there are some Marilyn Manson fans that are scared and unhappy about this potentially happening. Once again, to the Amazing Atheist's credit, as much of a vocal critic he is of my religious beliefs, I was fully expecting him to say, dude, if Marilyn Manson turns Christian, that's gonna fucking suck. I'll be betrayed. I'll dare it. No. He actually gave a mature answer saying, hey, not gonna lie, I'll be a little disappointed, but it's his life. He can believe whatever he wants to believe, and there's some good Christian music, which, honestly, that shocked me to hear from Amazing Atheist. Like, that surprised me, and I again, the only comment that he made that really annoyed me was the, man, it sucks that he's sober attitude that he had. That pissed me off, but he did have some opinions that were mature, in my opinion, that I very much agreed with. And I feel the same way. If you are a diehard Marilyn Manson fan because he is, in your mind, like super atheist, I hate Christianity, it should all die, and I hate Jesus, if that's you and the idea of Marilyn Manson softening his stance offends you, for one, get off Reddit. Being an edgy Reddit atheist isn't cool anymore. It never, in my opinion, it never was. But, again, whatever Marilyn Manson decides to believe is up to him. Same issue I have with people on the other side of the fence that are like, oh my god, he's a Satanist! He's literally a pastor at the Church of Satan! He's not even a Satanist. Most people who scream and whine and complain about Satanism don't even know what Satanism is. Why am I a Christian on here defending Satanism? Everyone on every side of this is an idiot sometimes. The Christians and the atheists. Y'all are both stupid. To the atheists, if Marilyn Manson becomes a Christian, who cares? What matters is his work. If it affects his work, sure, get pissed off about it. But if his output is still great, then who cares what he believes? It's up to, he's 55. He's a grown-ass man. He can believe whatever he wants to believe. And to the Christians out there, again, you don't even know what Satanism is. They don't actually worship Satan, or at least not directly. You could argue that they indirectly worship Satan, and that, I would say, yeah, might have a point there. But it's just theatrical atheism. They are using Satan as a symbol to basically reject religion as a whole, not just Christianity, but the whole thing. It's theatrical atheism. And I'm a Christian, so I'm not saying that I'm a Satanist, I'm a Christian. I just, believe in the crazy little notion of knowing what the hell I'm talking about so I don't look like an idiot. Both sides, the Christian and the atheist sides, y'all need to stop and understand and what you're even talking about, or at least be sensible when talking about stuff like this. Because both sides of this have a historically poor track record, and you both piss me off. But again, like what I was saying, if Marilyn Manson, I honestly don't... He's never been an atheist. He's said this before, and the whole church, the Anton LaVey thing. Yeah, he was a friend of Marilyn Manson's, but he never took that title that he was offered seriously. He treated it as a joke. So he's not actually an ordained minister at the Church of Satan. That's never been a thing. And it's ridiculous that people are still having to debunk this in 2024 when it was debunked decades ago by the guy himself. Y'all are dumb. But anyway, not all of you. Just the people that whine and bitch and moan about dumb things, they're dumb. I have reason to believe that most of the people that are going to listen to this are, sensible, sane human beings that are capable of critical thinking. Sadly, a lot of Christians and a lot of atheists are lacking in this particular category. But anyway, that's another rant for another time. But if Christian decides to convert to Marilyn Manson, then that's okay. That's hunky dory. I hate my brain. But yeah, whatever Marilyn Manson believes, and he's said that he believes that there's something out there, he just doesn't know what the answer is. And that's been his stance in all of his work. So, and I'm not sitting here saying that I agree with everything he says. Real quick, I don't like one of his most famous songs, the fight song. I don't like that song because I do not like the lyric, "I'm not a slave to a God that doesn't exist." I cringe whenever I hear that lyric, and it ruins the song for me. So I'm not over here saying that I agree with everything Marilyn Manson has ever said or done ever, because I don't. Again, just trying to exercise just a modicum of critical thinking here. And I hate that I really hate that I have to make all of these qualifiers, because if I don't, there's going to be idiots in the comments or that watch this video and are like, wait, Joshua's an atheist? Wait, Joshua is a this? Wait, this is a this or that is a that? I am angry. I'm going to type about how you're wrong without listening to all of your analysis, like everything that you're saying, all the points you're making. I'm going to disregard them just so I can bitch and moan in the comments. That's what I'm trying to avoid, even though it's inevitable because people are stupid. But anyway, this turned from an I'm excited about Marilyn Manson's new album podcast into an I hate humans podcast, basically, which honestly is par for the course. But again, back to this point, unless I get off on another tangent. If Marilyn Manson is a Christian, then that's great. As a Christian, welcome aboard. I approve. If he's not, then fine. That, again, it's his life. He can choose to believe whatever he wants. Would I personally want him to be a Christian? I would personally want everyone to be a Christian. But that's not realistic. Again, using my brain here. Most people probably aren't Christian. Fine. You can believe whatever you want. Marilyn Manson is a grown man. He can believe what he wants. And if you turn on him because he believes something that you don't, then you were never a fan in the first place. These edgy Reddit tier, I love Satan and the devil and I hate God. Those people are so lame Because those are the ones that are like, if Marilyn Manson becomes a Christian, I'm gonna kill myself. Shut up. Go outside and touch grass, please. You're on Reddit way too much. Please. It is destroying... It is doing to your brain what TikTok is doing to the brains of millions of teenage girls across the country. Just eroding them away. It is being sucked out of your head. So yeah, if I doubt that Marilyn Manson has converted to Christianity. I think he was just partnering up with Kanye just to be controversial, because that Marilyn Manson is a controversy magnet. Also, water is wet. He's going to do something to get people talking. And Kanye's the same way. Even though I do think the whole thing about, I'm not exactly a fan of the Jews. I do think that was a bit much, Kanye, or Ye, or whatever you refer to yourself. Never go full Kanye. Not even once. They should go back and re-edit that move. They should go back and re-edit Tropic Thunder to where he doesn't say never go full retard. It should now say never go full Kanye. Because if you go full Kanye, then you're an anti-Semite, and you probably shouldn't do that. So there's that. But yeah, again, that whole thing was just Marilyn Manson being controversial. I don't think he's converting to Christianity. I could be wrong. But I do think he's trying to soften his stance more, because, when you get older, you soften your stances on certain things. You're not as vitriolic. You're not as guns a-blazing. And honestly, if we are this is what I'm really interested in. I am curious if this rebirth is going to be the birth of a more mature than we've ever seen Marilyn Manson. Like we've seen a lot of different eras, a lot of different variations, because this man is a fucking chameleon. I want to see wise Manson. That, a heavy metal, angry, but wise Marilyn Manson, I will buy that album the millisecond it drops. I'm sitting over here waiting for singles, baby. I want to hear these singles. I want to know what the name of this album is. And again, like I mentioned earlier at the beginning, that I'm a huge fan of We Are Chaos. I don't want it to be like that. As much as I love We Are Chaos, that's a soft album. It's not an angry album. There's some spurts of anger here and there, but for the most part, it's more of a relaxed, easy listening to album. That was awful grammatically. That was a terrible sentence. It was easy on the ears, which is fine. And again, it's my third favorite album he's ever done. This is going to be considered heresy by some, but I like We Are Chaos more than Antichrist Superstar. Stop flagging the video with dislikes and stop unsubscribing. But that's just my opinion. But this upcoming album needs to be more like Antichrist Superstar. It needs to be more like Hollywood. Hell, it needs to be more like Golden Age of Grotesque. It needs to be angry. It needs to be Marilyn Manson saying, we've been down this road before in 2000 with Columbine. It didn't work then, it didn't work now, but now I'm fucking mad. And I'm going to let you all know about it. And I'm about to rip shit. I want him to go ham on the perpetually online people that are offended by everything. I want him to go off on the women that have weaponized Me Too to line their own pockets at the expense of actual victims. I mean, hell, he even hinted at it in We Are Chaos with the song Perfume. That whole song, Perfume, is a giant middle finger to Evan Rachel Wood and everyone like her. And I approve. In that song, he says victim is chic, which means, basically, being a victim is cool. Being a victim is currency now. And it sucks. And I want this whole thing to just be him furiously and wisely just deconstructing and shitting all over it, from top to bottom. So as a huge Marilyn Manson fan, I am very excited for how this could turn out, what this could be. I want it to be a furious album, but again, I'm going to temper my expectations, because, for one, I don't think that Marilyn Manson is currently with a record. I'm honestly surprised that he was able to collaborate with anyone because, again, because of cancel culture, you're kind of radioactive and no one really wants to touch you because they don't want to get any ick on you. I'm surprised that Tyler Bates was cool with being part of this. But where is this going to drop and how? Because, again, his label dropped him, so he can't drop the album on his label. So where is he going to go? What platform is he going to put it on? Like, I imagine it's going to find its way to all platforms, like, immediately. But what's going to happen when this drops? How is this going to drop? And as much as I hate to say it, and as much as you're all going to hate to hear it, there's going to be some backlash when this album comes out. Because all the Evan Rachel Wood tards are going to come out of the woodwork and be like, he's a rapist! Why is this rapist allowed to breathe? There's going to be some pissed off people. And we need to match that fury and basically soccer ball kick them off a cliff. We need to drown them out. Honestly. Because again, I am under the belief, more and more each day, that this whole fiasco with Evan Rachel Wood was a coordinated attack. I am absolutely convinced. Because you don't do illegal shit, and you don't forge FBI documents. I said this earlier. You don't do shit like that if you're a victim. That is very atypical of a victim to do. And it tells me that it's a bunch of bullshit. But anyway, so be ready for when this comes out. I'm actually probably going to listen to the whole thing when it comes out, and I will likely do a review of that album. Because on my channel, one of my fastest growing and like most viewed videos is my Marilyn Manson album ranking video. And thank you guys so much for getting that so many views. I still get comments on that video to this day, and I made it like 2 years ago. Someone in the comments said that in that video I kind of look like Twiggy Ramirez. Thanks, I guess. I'll take that as a compliment. Probably because of my hair. And because I'm very skinny and gangly. But yeah, like, so to basically bring this all together, Marilyn Manson looks immaculate. I'm happy that he's sober. I don't really care. As far as the quality of his new album and the state of his return, I don't really care that much about his religious beliefs. If he has any, I don't really care about that much. It's not pertinent as far as, is his new album good? Is he back? That is what I want to know. That is the most important thing. Is he coming back, and is this album going to be good? This album, and again, I agree with The Amazing Atheist. This album has to be absolutely amazing. This has to be a banger. And I'm not saying every song has to be a banger, but kind of like Seamus and the not fast enough departed, wish it died sooner, Brawling Brutes, because that gimmick sucked. It needs to be banger after banger after banger after banger. I'm so happy that Butch is no longer Butch. He's Pete Dunne. Fuck Butch. Pete Dunne forever. Maybe Pete Dunne's a fan of Marilyn Manson. Now we're going off the rails. I'll be a fan till the bitter end. Get it? Because that's his finishing move. And with that, this was... If you're a new listener, because I'm talking about Marilyn Manson and you've never listened to one of my podcasts before, this is usually what it is. Just incredibly just chaotic and all over the place because my brain is what it is. So have fun with that. But again, in closing, a lot of signs pointing at the return of Marilyn Manson and a brand new album, and I am looking forward to it. So comment down below, what are your thoughts on all these developments? Do you think this is actually even happening, or do you think all of this is a bunch of rumors that amount to nothing and it's all a bunch of bullshit? And also comment how much you fucking despise Evan Rachel Wood and Amber Heard and everyone who does this shady shit just to ruin people and line their own pockets that they do. And comment down below what your favorite Marilyn Manson album, favorite Marilyn Manson song is. And tell it, just, if you haven't seen this, again, that's the image of this video. Go look at the comparison photo. And just comment down below how shocking Marilyn Manson's transformation is. It's insane. But again, I hope it's great. I'm looking forward to it. And again, I will review it when it comes out. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff tomorrow. For my wrestling fans that are watching it and listening to this, tomorrow we're going to have a match. And it is going to be the debuting Tomohiro Shigaraki from My Hero Academia versus John Wick. And it's full circle because guess who had a song in the first John Wick movie? It was Marilyn Manson. Full circle. I planned this because I'm a fucking genius. Alright, I'm going to calm down. Like, subscribe. Have all that fun stuff. Bye. I had a stroke.